Okay, welcome to this kind of strange edition of this. I haven't talked about any new comics in a couple weeks because I've not really been impressed with what's been out in a grand scheme of things, and as well as not really getting too many things. But I'll hopefully be back tomorrow, and I will kind of pick up the last few weeks of the stuff that I did deem worth talking about. Um, anyway, this is something that's kind of chafed on me for a couple of days now, and it's actually something that's really bugged me for a long time, and it is the nature of delays within the comic book industry. And sorry, but DC Comics is going to get the brunt of this. Um, and first off, before I really get into the delays thing, I want to make it very, very clear that DC still has almost at least a dozen books that come out every week, if not more. Books that come out on time. The issue I have is that the books that are not coming out on time are the books that are usually the most anticipated, arguably enough. And I'm going to kind of start with the top, which is this kind of all kind of came to a head when it basically became very, very clear that Superman 703 was not going to be coming out this month. It was instead going to be postponed a month and coming out at the end of October now, meaning that there would be no issue of Superman in September. Now, this really kind of bugs me because we're at the very, very early stages of a really, really big, high-profile Superman story. This is kind of the return of Superman to the Superman ongoing title. We've got a big, high-profile story by J. Michael Straczynski that started in Superman 700. We got Superman 701 and 702, and now it's been delayed. And we're giving a skip month, basically, this far into Superman. And that annoys me because this is a story that many people I know are on the fence about. And I was really more annoyed because I thought the problem was Eddie Barrows. But the problem, and I will take back some of the things I've been saying about this, is that J. Michael Straczynski came out publicly and took the blame for the delay in the Superman book. He'd basically been dealing with a very, very severe case of bronchitis that sidelined him from getting Superman done on time. Wonder Woman will still be coming out on time. Superman will not. Superman has been postponed a month till October. And he's over the sickness now, and he's hoping to get ahead on the schedule now. And I'm very, very glad for that. And I'm still mildly annoyed that these things happen. But I appreciate the fact that he came out, took the blame, and explain the situation, because too often in comics a book is just delayed and no sort of official statement is given. We as the fans are just kind of left sitting, waiting, hoping that the book eventually comes out. And now Superman is kind of the exception, in as much as somebody did come out and publicly take kind of full brunt the blame here. But there's a whole bunch of other situations where we haven't gotten a great explanation, or there's not really a good explanation. Another situation that comes to mind is Green Lantern. Green Lantern, the latest issue, I believe 57, with the Star Sapphires on the cover, or rather with the Predator on the cover. That was postponed 2 weeks, kind of for no explainable reason. Nobody ever came out and explained. Nobody really said anything. It was just postponed 2 weeks. And now the subsequent issues are all being pushed back accordingly. I know that the next issue is not coming out till next month. And then I believe in either October or November they're going to plan to ship 2 issues. I don't believe that will happen, but whatever. Which kind of brings up the next problem, is The Flash. The Flash, this is one that really, really annoys me. Flash number 1, 2, 3 all came out on time. Flash 4 was delayed mildly, and then Flash 5 was completely postponed a month. Like, initially, it was going to be, Flash number 5 was going to be the end of August. But there was no issue of The Flash in the end of August. There was no issue of The Flash in August, period, I believe. Let me see if I can find out on DC's site here. Their site's being retarded. But, basically, we've gone a whole month without an issue of The Flash. And so now, the new issue is the end of September. The next Francis Manapul issue is going to be the end of October. And then, initially, they had scheduled the 2 issues following that, which are being drawn by Scott Collins, meaning they're probably already done. Those were being scheduled for a double ship in November. Now, that double ship has now changed to one of them being in November and now one of them being in December. Now, I am inclined to believe that that is either for one of two reasons. That is either one, Scott Collins needed time with his burdening schedule. He's got stuff going on, and he's taking over the monthly duties on JSA. And then two is the ideally situation that they want to give Francis Manapul, sorry, I may be saying his name wrong, enough lead-in time for the next arc, which I'm calling right now as the Flash Secret Origin. I believe that the next issue of The Flash, or the next major story arc of The Flash, is going to be The Flash Secret Origin, where we will retell Barry's origin in prep for Flashpoint. I'm not sure. I'm kind of expecting, because Francis Manapul has kind of dropped hints that the next story arc is the kind of story arc that everybody wants to draw, and he's also dropped hints that, and other people have said that the Flash Secret Origin is coming sooner rather than later. So I am inclined to think that the next Flash arc will be the Flash Secret Origin. Honestly, I would rather Scott Collins drew it, period. Sorry, Francis, but Scott Collins does things in a timely manner. And that's what just kind of bugs me, is that that book is delayed, no explanation, nobody's coming out and taking blame for it. It's just happening, and we as the fans are just kind of left to deal with it. And our only option is to not buy it, which is a shitty option. So that's my issue with The Flash. And now one that becomes a big, big, big problem is the Batman franchise. The untold delays in the Batman franchise have been excruciatingly annoying. We haven't seen an issue of the return of Bruce Wayne since July. We haven't seen, we got an issue of Batman and Robin in the middle of July. We didn't get another one until September. And the first issue of the next issue of Return of Bruce Wayne doesn't come out until like the first week of October, if that doesn't get pushed back. Now, for Batman and Robin's sake, Fraser Irving came out on his Twitter and kind of basically took the brunt for that. Basically said he's sorry he doesn't draw faster. So I'm glad he came out and expressed that. But at the same time, with these Bat books, I mean, there's a big line-wide relaunch coming in November. So we're getting to the point where basically everything is double shipping in October. I mean, basically at this point, Ryan Sook is drawing the next issue of Return of Bruce Wayne. We haven't seen, like I said, Georges Jeanty did issue 4, and that came out in the end of July. So we've gone all of August and all of September without an issue of Return of Bruce Wayne. Does Ryan Sook need that much time? I mean, really? Is he that busy? Is he that slow? I mean, I remember when Ryan Sook was drawing the Spectre on a monthly basis. I mean, it's the kind of thing where I'm like, these guys used to draw monthly books all the time. I mean, let me look. I have my handy-dandy sheet here. I unfortunately, for better or for worse, have every single issue of Hal Jordan's Spectre run, and in the first 13 issues, Ryan Sook did. He did 10 of the first 13 issues. I mean, you're at a point where you're just like, you can do it then, but now it's taking you 2+ months to draw this. It's not even so much now that it's 2 months since the last issue. At this point, we're 6 weeks past the initial solicitation date. I mean, we've passed deadlines now, and like I said, we're getting to the point where if DC doesn't do something, this book won't be out on time. And when you've got the whole Bat line launching on this thing, it becomes, I mean, you've got to the point where, like I said, 2 issues of Return of Bruce Wayne are coming out in September, or October rather, and 2 issues of Batman and Robin are coming out. You've got the last issue of the Fraser Irving arc, and then you've got the next issue by Cameron Stewart, and then you've got and the funny thing is I guarantee you Cameron Stewart and Lee Garbett, who's doing the next issue of Return of Bruce Wayne, I can almost guarantee you that those guys are done with their issues. That those guys are done. I mean, when Philip Tan came on for Batman and Robin and ran into some mild delays, and the Frank Quitely stuff came on for delays, Cameron Stewart came on, his arc shipped bi-weekly just to get the book back. I mean, it's that sort of thing. I mean, we just got issue 14 of Batman and Robin, and I don't know. I just don't think, and it kind of stems not even so much from that, but it's when does DC determine the use of a fill-in artist? And it kind of, it's strange to me that this kind of thing happens. Because certain books, it doesn't make sense for them to use fill-in artists, but they do. And then other stuff where you think they would, for the sake of time, they don't. For The Flash, I guess I sort of understand. Manipal is a very unique style. You don't really want to create a jarring transition. But like with Batman 700, Frank Quitely was hyped up as drawing that thing from day one, yet they brought in a fill-in artist to finish that and get it out on time. Wonder Woman by J. Michael Straczynski already has fill-in artists to keep it on time. And, I mean, I'm left kind of wondering, why aren't they getting fill-in artists for these? Ryan Sook was scheduled to do a Blackest Night book. He wasn't ready to have it done on time. They brought in a fill-in artist for that. So I'm kind of left wondering, what determines a fill-in artist and what doesn't? Like, Jock came in to do a Batwoman arc on Detective, and they brought in a fill-in artist for that on the last issue, Scott Collins. Kind of seems Scott Collins is the go-to guy. And I'm just kind of curious as to why DC is letting these things just get horribly, horribly, horribly late, as opposed to getting them on a timely manner when for the story's sake, these things need to happen. Like I said, it's been since the end of July 28th, I think, is when Return of Bruce Wayne number 4 came out. And I guess issue 5 was supposed to come out in August. Didn't come out in August. It hasn't come out in September. And as of right now, it's supposed to come out the first week of October. But again, I'm not necessarily holding my... I mean, like I said, you've got this line-wide relaunch of Batman that's supposed to happen in November. I mean, starting off with the launch of Batman Inc. number 1. So, I mean... And it's really kind of weird because there's other issues of Batman and Robin. There was an issue of Batman and Robin where Andy Clark couldn't finish it, so Dustin Wynn did breakdowns and Scott Hanna did finishes. So you're kind of just like, what determines the fill-in artist and what doesn't? It's really kind of strange. And I'm really kind of confused as to the thought process. And like I said, don't get me wrong, DC has tons of books that come out every week on time. I mean, every week. I mean, Mark Bagley just finished doing a 5-part JLA JSA crossover completely on his own, and it shipped in 2.5 months. And Mark Bagley did that whole thing himself. I mean, he drew that whole story by himself. So, I mean, there's a guy that's, super churning this stuff out. I mean, it's the kind of thing where I'm like, that's the kind of output I think we need to have. I mean, it's to the point where you're just like, I can name, like, the artists that have a consistent monthly schedule on one hand. I mean, I know Mark Bagley can do it. Scott Collins can do it. Stuart Immonen usually is. I mean, you got these guys that can do monthly. Paul Pelletier is another guy. Paul Pelletier does that very intricate, dynamic style, too. And you're just like, these guys can all do it. Why can't you guys? And the thing that bugs me even more is that a lot of these guys that are slow artists now didn't used to be that way. I mean, these are guys that when they were first starting out, they were churning out stuff like crazy. Todd McFarlane, according to one site, did like 130 pages in 1 month. I'm like, that's like 30 pages a week. That's like 4 to 5 pages a day. I'm like, you guys used to be able to do those sort of things, and now you can't. What happened? Are you guys this busy? And if that case, if they are that busy, and they are that slow, and we know this going in, the DC or the publisher in question, Marvel with Thor specifically, they need to know this, and they need to plan accordingly. Because I understand that these guys are great artists, but I'm at a point now where I would much rather have the story continued by able hands than having the story sidelined because we're waiting for somebody to finish. Anyway, that's my rant on deadlines. I'll hopefully be back to talk about something more cheery later.